Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Tuesday, May the 9th. We got two games on Tuesday night. Got Game 5 of the Celtics and Sixers series. Got Game 5 of the Suns and Nuggets series. Both these series are tied 2-2, so these are very pivotal Game 5s. This could definitely swing this series. The momentum, will be huge. If whichever team can get the win here, will have a ton of momentum heading into Game 6, but we got a two-game slate to talk about for Tuesday. So as always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to give kind of a quick breakdown of this two-game slate, what I do like, taking a first look on Monday when I'm recording this video. But as always, before we do get started with the breakdown, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos and if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below. I always appreciate the likes. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you have never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code Noah. When you do sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And for those of you that have never heard about PrizePicks, they are a player prop site. They're very simple, very easy to use. You can see they already have some points props posted for Tuesday's games. They have props up for both the Sixers game, Celtics game, and the other game, the Nuggets and Suns one. You can see some of the points props they have available. Again, if you think a line is like too high or too low, you're just taking more or less on a player's projection. It's as simple as that. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. And PrizePicks does offer a lot of other sports outside of just NBA. They offer MLB, NHL, football, all this, pretty much everything. Any sport you could imagine, PrizePicks probably offers it. So definitely get over there, guys. Sign up, use that promo code Noah, and again, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. But let's go ahead and talk through Tuesday's slate, and we'll start off with the first game, the Sixers and the Celtics. We'll start off on the Boston side, where Boston's been an easy team to kind of project so far in this series. We know where the rotation is. We know the guys that are going to get the minutes. They're pretty much going to run an 8-man rotation here. And we'll start off at the top with kind of the two studs, the Jays, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You got Tatum coming in at 9,600. You got Jaylen Brown coming in at 7,900. We'll definitely talk about Jaylen Brown in a second. But starting off with Tatum at 9,600. I don't mind going to Tatum here. Tatum had a pretty poor scoring game last game. Still managed to put up 66 DraftKings points because he had 18 rebounds. He had 6 assists, 4 blocks, and a steal. We've really seen Tatum, contribute in all categories so far in the postseason. Not only has he been, scoring a ton, but he's been grabbing a lot of rebounds, getting assists, getting defensive stats. He's just been stuffing the stat sheet. Now, on these 2-game slates, there's always going to be a lot of guys you can pay up for. You have Jokic, KD, Devin Booker that we'll talk about later. But I still think Tatum is a pretty strong pay-up option here. Outside of the second game in this series where it was a blowout and he was in foul trouble, Tatum's been great in this series. 67, 54, 66 DK points. I think at 9,600, he's firmly in play today. But Jaylen Brown, I do like quite a bit. 7,900 for Jaylen Brown is pretty cheap. We haven't seen Jaylen Brown below 8K in a while. I mean, you look at his game log, I don't even know if he's been below 8K all season. Let's see. I don't think he has. Yeah, Jaylen Brown hasn't been below 8K all season, which is pretty wild. He's not been great in this series. We haven't really seen him have any good games. He actually had a pretty good game in game 2 that was a blowout. He put up almost 40 DraftKings points in just 30 minutes. But we haven't seen a big ceiling game from Jaylen Brown yet, but we know Jaylen Brown has that upside in him, and we know as long as this game is competitive, he's playing huge minutes. He got, 39, 40 minutes in regulation last game. He'll probably play 40 minutes here if this game's competitive. This price tag on Jaylen Brown definitely feels too low in my opinion. I do like him quite a bit at 7,900. He's probably my favorite play on the Celtics when you do factor in price tag. And then you have Al Horford at 5,700, who really popped off for a big ceiling game last game. Almost 40 DraftKings points, played 38 minutes. Right now it seems like the Celtics have a lot of trust in Al Horford. They've been playing him a lot, as their main center. And we really haven't seen them play Robert Williams much in this series, which I thought they were. I thought Robert Williams would be a big piece for the Celtics in this series, but that really hasn't been the case. They've been playing Horford a ton. I'm assuming that continues here. His price tag did come up a little bit to 5,700, but if Horford's going to keep playing 34, 35 minutes a night, and if he's going to be getting a lot of his minutes as the center, then I think he's fine to go to. Not my favorite play by any means, but I think he's still viable. I do like the guards, though, quite a bit. I think Brogdon and Smart specifically both look really good here. Brogdon at 5,300 just had a really good role in this series. Minutes have been very secure, even coming off the bench. And we know that Brogdon's a guy that can produce when he does get minutes. He's put up, at least 28 DraftKings points in all 4 games in this series. Once again, he feels a little bit underpriced here. I think Brogdon looks great. I think Marcus Smart looks great as well at 5,200. Smart, not going to give you a huge ceiling, but been super consistent. The minutes are going to be there as long as he avoids foul trouble. Obviously, game 1 wasn't great for Smart, but, game 2, blowout. Last 2 games, though, where he's played full minutes, 34 minutes, 31 DK points, 42 minutes, got overtime last game, but 35 DK points. Smart's one of these guys that, can score, can get assists. He'll grab a few rebounds. He can get defensive stats as well. 5,200, I think, is definitely too cheap for Marcus Smart. So, him and Brogdon, I like both those guys quite a bit. Derek White's probably my least favorite of the guards, but I think he'll also be the lowest owned. We haven't really seen Derek White play that well in this series. His minutes have also not been that high either. I just think they would rather play Smart. They would rather play Brogdon, but you're still going to get like 30 minutes for Derek White, which, again, in 30 minutes, he could have a good game. It's just that I think Smart and Brogdon both do project better. I think they're just better plays overall. But when you're factoring in ownership, it could make sense to maybe pivot to White as a lower owned option. I kind of said that last slate. If you want to do that, you could. And then the bench guys, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, these guys are okay value plays. Robert Williams, the minutes have not been that great in this series, but he is really cheap, 3,900, and we know that Robert Williams is a guy that when he does get minutes, he can really produce. No one would be surprised to see Robert Williams go out there and put up, 26 DraftKings points in 18 minutes or something like that. So at 3,900 as a GPP option, I'm totally fine going to Robert Williams here, especially like if you're trying to make some lineups where you have Jokic and KD and Tatum all in the same lineup. In order to do that, you're going to have to play guys like Robert Williams, and I'm totally fine going to Williams in those type of lineups. I think he is in play here. And then Grant Williams, we've seen him be a more staple part of the rotation in this series. Last few games, 29, 23, 12 minutes. He's okay at 3,300. Definitely not my favorite value. I think there's some other punt value plays I do prefer over Grant Williams, but I did want to at least mention him since he has become kind of a staple of their rotation now. But that's really it for Boston. That's everything there. So let's talk about the other side of this game now with Philadelphia. And looking at the Sixers here, you got Embiid coming in at 9,700. You got Harden coming in at 8,800. Both these guys played really well last game. Both of them had pretty good games. Embiid put up 58 DraftKings points, played 46 minutes. Obviously, did get extra time because of overtime. But even at the end of regulation, Embiid had played like 41 minutes. So in a pivotal game, series tied 2-2, we can expect probably 40, 41, 42 minutes for Embiid here. He's looked a lot better lately. He's looked healthy the last few games. He's been more aggressive offensively. I think at 9,700, Embiid is totally fine to pay up for today. I do prefer the studs, though, in the later game, which we'll talk about in a second. But, Tatum and Embiid obviously are both in play here. And then Harden had the really big game last game, put up 78 DraftKings points, was just great all around. He was scoring a ton, had 8 rebounds, had 9 assists, had a ton of defensive stats, too. I mean, it was just like a perfect game for James Harden. Don't know if we can expect that type of performance again, but clearly there's a big upside for Harden when things are going well, and we know the minutes are going to be there for Harden. On this slate specifically, I do prefer getting to other guys. All these other studs we've talked about, I think I would prefer over Harden, but I mean, Harden's clearly in play on a 2-game slate if you want to go there. But it's really hard to get excited about many other Sixers. Maxey and Harris, we just haven't really seen much consistent upside from them when they're playing with Harden and with Embiid. Maxey's been okay in this series, but not great. At 6,200, he feels priced about right. He's going to play a ton, but just not a guy that I'm super interested in. Tobias Harris has just been really underwhelming in this series. He had a decent game 1, but ever since then, hasn't been that great. Game 1 was also without Joel Embiid, which obviously helped. Since Embiid has come back, Harris's production just not been that good. Last game played 45 minutes and only had 22 DraftKings points. I know the price tag on Harris is pretty reasonable, but again, like the upside on him is just so minimal. He's just not a guy that's going to consistently provide you a big ceiling when he's playing with Embiid and with Harden. And then D'Anthony Melton coming off the bench as a value option, I'm fine with. I know Melton has not been that great the last few games. He had a really big game 3, but game 2 was a disappointment. Game 4 was a disappointment. I'm pretty sure last game he was in foul trouble. Don't know what happened. Game 2, I think, was just like because of the blowout. But I think most nights you're going to see D'Anthony Melton play like 25 to 30 minutes. And D'Anthony Melton is a pretty good permanent producer. He's another guy that can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. So I do like D'Anthony Melton for value, even though he did have a bad game last game. I would expect him to play better here. to be more productive overall. Normally, when you get 25 minutes from D'Anthony Melton, normally he's going to put up more than 7 DraftKings points. I mean, that was just a complete floor game for him. So, yeah, I'm fine going to Melton. But the rest of the Sixers, PJ Tucker, Paul Reed, Niang, none of these guys are in play for me, I don't think. So, let's talk about the other side of this game now, or the other game, I should say, with Phoenix and Denver. So, we'll start off on the Denver side here, and looking at the Nuggets are a pretty appealing team to target today. I mean, we kind of know how they're going to run their rotation. They've pretty much been running an 8-man rotation every game so far in the postseason. We know that Nikola Jokic is going to have a massive role. He's coming off a massive game where he put up 76 DraftKings points, took, 30 shots, put up 53 points, only had 4 rebounds, but still, had a huge game overall. Jokic has been great the last 3 games. He's been great in this series. Even game 1, he would have had a way better game. He just lost some minutes because of blowout. If this game's competitive, we know we're going to get huge minutes for Jokic. Probably going to play 40, 41, 42 minutes. I mean, Jokic he's a freaking monster. The dude just is going to go out there and stuff the stat sheet. There's really nothing negative you could say about him. It's just a matter of if you can fit him in. I haven't really built any lineups yet. Again, I make all these videos the day before, so I don't really build lineups until the day of the slate. But clearly, there's a big upside for Jokic, and he's definitely a guy you can pay up for on this slate. I would say in terms of ceiling and floor, he's by far got the highest floor and ceiling on this slate out of anyone. But then you have Jamal Murray at 8,100, who I think once again just looks like a really solid mid-range option. Murray's been great in this series. Game 2 was a disappointment for him, but Game 1, 59 DK points. Game 3, 50 DK points. Last game, 47 DK points. He's also playing huge minutes on a nightly basis, been taking a ton of shots, been super aggressive offensively. Not only has he been scoring a ton, but he's been getting rebounds, he's been getting assists. He'll occasionally get some defensive stats as well. I probably wouldn't play him and Jokic together since I think there is somewhat of a negative correlation there, but I still think Murray looks really good here at 8,100. And then Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., I haven't been playing these guys a ton in this series, but I think they look pretty solid today. I mean, they're just getting so many minutes. You look at Aaron Gordon, I know the production's not been great for Aaron Gordon, but he's playing like 40 minutes a night, 39, 39, 39, and 36 minutes in their 4 games in this series. I prefer Michael Porter Jr., who we're going to talk about in a second, but I still think Aaron Gordon at 6K does look solid just because he's going to play probably 40 minutes if it's a close game and if he avoids foul trouble. And then Michael Porter Jr., we saw him get benched in Game 2. He didn't play much at all. I don't think he played at all in the fourth quarter in Game 2 of this series, but really, I think that was an outlier, and most nights we're going to see MPJ get high 30s, possibly 40 minutes, and you've seen that the last 2 games, 37 and 41 minutes for MPJ. He's been rebounding a lot lately, which is good to see. Obviously, he's normally a guy we think of as kind of like a scoring-dependent player, but he's been getting a lot of rebounds. He can get some defensive stats too. If he can knock down his shots, there's a big ceiling for MPJ here. Had a double-double last game. He's had a double-double the last 2 games. 5,800, if we're going to continue to get 36, 37, 38 minutes for MPJ, at 5,800, there's a big upside for him. So definitely like MPJ on this slate. And then, the value guys from Denver, Bruce Brown, KCP, they're fine. Neither one of them look great, though. Like, I'm not excited about either one. You're probably going to get like 24, 25 minutes from Bruce Brown. At 4,500, he's playable. KCP is going to probably play like 35 to 40 minutes, but again, it's KCP. He's a very low-usage player. He's going to have to knock down some threes to put up a good game because he's not really going to do much else in terms of rebounding and assists. He's just kind of out there for defense, so not a guy that I really ever get excited to roster. I think you do get a bigger ceiling from some other cheap guys that we've kind of already talked about. That's really it for Denver. I think we can go ahead and talk about the other side of this game now with Phoenix. And looking at the Suns here, the injury news we do need to monitor from Phoenix is Chris Paul's status. But we already got word that Chris Paul is unlikely to play here. It looks like he's going to be out for this game, but he possibly could return for Game 6. So I'm expecting Chris Paul to be out once again. And, with the last few games without Chris Paul, it's just been the Devin Booker and Kevin Durant show. You look at Booker game log the last 2 games without CP3, 42 minutes, 40 minutes, 77 DraftKings points, 64 DraftKings points. Not only has Booker been just taking a ton of shots, and not only has he had great usage, but he's been getting a ton of assists. The rebounds have been solid as well. He's going to continue to handle the ball a lot more without Chris Paul. Normally, Booker's not a guy that I really like to pay over 10K for, but clearly with his role right now, he's worth this 10K price tag. I mean, he's going to play massive minutes here. I'm definitely interested in Booker, but I do think I prefer KD straight up over Booker. KD, he's just going to give you more peripherals. I think Booker, in order for Booker to really have a big ceiling game, you're probably going to need him to score like 40 actual points, whereas I think KD could score like 30 points, but then he could have like double-digit rebounds. He could have 6, 7, 8 assists. KD can also get defensive stats too. So I think there is kind of a higher ceiling for Kevin Durant, but man, like right now, him and Booker are both just such good plays because they're just going to play so many minutes. The offense is going to run through those two guys. The usage is going to be dominated by Booker and Durant. Could you play them together? I think it's possible. I mean, last game, they both had like over 60 DK points. The game before that, they both had over 60 DK points. So I think you could play those two together. There is somewhat of a negative correlation there since, obviously they both can't, shoot the ball at the same time. But if the Suns continue to be competitive and put up a lot of points like they have the last two games, there's a big ceiling for both Booker and Durant here. I slightly lean Durant over Booker, but I think it's really close. Both guys look very solid. And then the rest of the Suns, so DeAndre Ayton's not really been that good in this series. His fantasy production's not been that good either. The minutes have kind of started to trend down for him too. He's been in some foul trouble, but we've seen the Suns have a lot of confidence in Jock Landale. Jock Landale's actually been playing a good amount over Ayton, and I don't think it was last game, but I think the game before that, they actually closed with Landale over Ayton. So Ayton's a guy that I really haven't had much interest in this series. He's not been that great, but the price tag has come down to $5,600, which is really cheap for DeAndre Ayton. And I know that he's not really the same permanent producer that he was before Kevin Durant arrived, but I think at $5,600, you could go to Ayton here. I think he is in play. And then Cameron Payne, the last two games, starting in place of Chris Paul, has really not been that good. 30 minutes, 18 DraftKings points, 25 minutes, 15 DraftKings points. Historically, Cameron Payne has been a good per-minute producer, but playing with Booker, who's had such a high usage rate, playing with Kevin Durant, who's also a high usage player, it's just hard for Cameron Payne to really have a big ceiling when he's playing with Booker and with Durant. And when those guys are going to play so many minutes, Payne's not really going to get many minutes without those guys on the floor. So not very interested in Cameron Payne here, even at $4,900. And then the only other guys that I'll mention for Phoenix as value plays, if you were going to target some guys off the bench, I think Shamet and Landale both are in play here. Shamet's minutes have been trending up the last few games. He's been playing a lot over Cameron Payne, and I think there's a good chance you could see him close again over Payne here. Last two games, 25 and 30 minutes for Shamet. Not a good permanent producer, but if he's going to play 25, 30 minutes and he's only 3,600, yeah, he's definitely got a path to a good game. I think Shamet is in play at 3,600, and then I think Jock Landale looks pretty solid. His minutes have been trending up. He's been getting 20 plus minutes the last two games. Clearly, they do trust him to play and guard Jokic. I mean, he has obviously he's a guy that's going to foul when he's out there. He's had 4 fouls in 22 minutes and 21 minutes, but there's obviously a path for him to have, somewhat of a minute ceiling here. I think you could see Landale play like 24, 25 minutes if things really go right and maybe Ayton struggles out of the gate or Ayton gets in foul trouble. There's a path to Landale getting, good minutes here. He is a pretty solid per-minute producer, and he's a guy that will be relatively productive when he's out there. So at 3,400, I definitely think Jock Landale is worth a punt option. If you're trying to build like those stars and scrubs lineups, if you're trying to pay up for a lot of the top guys, and you need some cheap options, I think you could look to Landale. I wouldn't play Landale and Ayton together since those guys definitely are negatively correlate. But Landale at 3,400 as a punt play, I do have some interest in. But that's really it for Phoenix. I don't think there's anyone else on Phoenix I'm super interested in. So that'll do it for that game, and that'll do it for this little 2-game slate for Tuesday night, guys. We got a few more 2-game slates. I think we're going to have 2 games on Wednesday. We're going to have 2 games on Thursday. We might have 2 games on Friday, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to try and get out some DFS videos the rest of this week, and then probably after this week, I don't think I'm going to be making any more DFS videos just because, we're just going to have like showdown slates the rest of the way, and I've said it before, I don't really like showdown. I've never been that good at showdown. Also, the attention for showdown, like in terms of like clicks and views and stuff, people just don't seem to have a ton of interest in it. So probably after this week, I'll be done with DFS videos, but I'll still be making Prize Picks content, giving out Prize Picks plays. And again, if you guys are not signed up for Prize Picks yet, they're the sponsor of this video. You can sign up for Prize Picks, use my promo code NOAH. When you do sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. When you sign up with my promo code, be sure to check out Prize Picks if you have not yet. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Wish you the best of luck on the slate. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.